Good evening, Los Santos. This is Lila Catanzaro. Anonymous threats, a canceled inauguration, and so many unanswered questions. The last several days have proven to be a maelstrom of confusion when it comes to what's going on within our city's government. In a few moments, we will be heading to MRPD for a press conference where Sergeant Stephen Toast is expected to address exactly what has been going on.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, I'm Stephen Toast. I am Sergeant of the LSPD. We are currently in the middle of an investigation for corruption in City Hall and other areas of government. We currently are pursuing some leads and have gained quite a lot of information over the last few days. Myself and the detectives beside me have been working tirelessly to make sure that there's nothing in this city that is going on behind closed doors that the citizens of Los Santos would feel uncomfortable about. Our main priority during this case is by keeping things quiet and making sure that everybody is treated fairly, and that's the most important thing. And by the end of this case, I guarantee that between myself and the other officers, everybody will be given, if needed, a fair trial. And, we'll make sure that all loose ends are covered as well. Now, it's a long process, and we believe that, there's still a lot more investigating to go on and a lot more conversations that need to be had. So, until we know further, until we know a lot more information and we're ready to kind of really put that in front of the board and things go to court, then, we'll be in that situation then. But until the meantime, we're just kind of keeping our heads down, making sure that we're covering all angles and make sure that if anybody is guilty, that they are guilty and it's not just, people just throwing things together for the sake of it. Thank you.
Can you elaborate? Has anyone specifically been arrested?
We have spoken to 2 people currently at the moment, we are taking into further questioning. But until we can, discuss more at that time, I'd just like to kind of leave that as it is.
So no formal charges have been made yet?
Right now, we don't want to discuss that because, like I say, it's a fairly big case. And, government's a very important position, and we don't want to go out there throwing accusations if there's, things haven't been fully put through yet. That's all I'm going to say.
You say that you've taken a few individuals in. If these people are part of the government, how is that going to affect day-to-day running in the city while they are out of commission?
One thing that I will say about our government is that we have a lot of fantastic staff. The city council is made up of some absolutely exemplary councilmen. A couple of them from the LSPD themselves. We also have all of the staff in the government do a fantastic job. So, I wouldn't worry about that. People at home in Los Santos, at the end of the day, everybody out there has everybody's best interests at heart, and we're working hard to make sure that we still keep running like a well-oiled machine.
Well, are the individuals who you currently are questioning or have detained, are they able to continue working their current jobs within the government branch while this investigation is ongoing, or have they been placed on some type of leave?
Right now, I haven't followed up with with our lawyers about sort of where we stand currently. That is something that we will be pursuing. Personally, at the moment, we're just finishing up what we like to call stage 1 of the operation, and we're moving into stage 2, which is we finished a lot of the paperwork. We've done a lot of what we needed to do, but now what we need to do is we kind of need to cross the crosses and dot the I's, if you know what I'm saying.
Of course. And is there any connection with these corruption charges being related to the syndicate or any of the figures that are prominent in that organization?
That is something that we are trying to follow up, and that is one of the avenues that we will be investigating as well. As we all know, Mr. Yankovic and his army of boring old men like to get involved in everything, and with like anything as well, we need to make sure that they haven't got their fingers in any pies. As we previously know with Mayor Webb, he was very in deep with the syndicate, and we need to make sure with anybody in government that they don't have ties.
Understandable. And can you please elaborate further on the corruption if you're able to? Is this something that might be an issue of public safety in any way?
I mean, public safety is quite an open statement. At the end of the day, anybody who's running for any sort of government position, or works in the police department or committing acts that are against the best interests of the people of Los Santos, then in my opinion, it's always against public safety. Like, as an example, if I was out there and I was, being a heinous criminal, but masquerading as an officer with the badge, at the end of the day, the public would be suffering for that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're taking backhanders, if you're doing anything that is not too. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just turn my apologies. Let me turn my radio. If anybody is doing anything that is against the best interests of the people of Los Santos and the government, then it's our job to make sure that we put a stop to that. That's our job as police officers and detectives.
Can you release what prompted you to begin investigating these charges of corruption?
I won't give the exact reason as to why, but all I can say is it started off with a complete act of stupidity that ended up, rolling over into a much larger case. The act of stupidity was witnessed by myself and other officers, and all I'm going to say at this time is basically, sometimes it's the tiniest little stupid act that you do that can sometimes bring the house of cards falling down.
And one last question. Can you comment as to whether the cancellation of the inauguration of the mayor has anything to do with what is currently going on with your investigation?
I would like to point out that on the day that the mayor was due to be inaugurated at City Hall, I was the lead officer there. There was an actual threat to her life. The first thing that I did was I secured the premises. I actually arranged a transport from the back of the back of City Hall. I made sure that we escorted herself out. Everybody else that was with her, my number one priority was her safety. We brought her back to MRPD, where I got Judge Dickey to swear her in as the mayor. So she is the mayor at the moment. Now, currently, she's not feeling very well. Now, once we escorted her out, we got her inaugurated as the mayor. We got her out of there. So business is normal on that front.
All right, thank you. I don't think Weasel has any further questions at this time. Actually, just one more. Do you have an estimate, perhaps, to how long this investigation may take? I understand information takes as long as it takes, but compared to whatever info you have now, do you think that we can look forward to some type of either releasing of charges or the dropping of any potential charges anytime soon?
Look, at the end of the day, any information that we acquire over the next period of time, we will be able to tell you straight up whether or not I don't want to put a time limit on anything, basically, just because of the fact that you know how these things are. I mean, you can look at how things have went in the past with big figures. Sometimes these things take months, sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes weeks, it just depends. But all I'll say is that, myself and the other officers are working hard to make sure, like I said before, a fair and honest trial, and if we do find something that is, incorrect, we will be pursuing that as well.
Lila Catanzaro standing outside MRPD right now with Deputy Mayor Jackson Crane. We have just listened to Sergeant Toast give a breakdown as to corruption allegations that are rocking through a government branch at this moment. Mr. Crane, what sort of comment would the mayor's office like to make?
Actually, first I would like to start with a correction. At this time, I am interim mayor, as Mayor C.C. Rockford is currently on suspension.
She is on suspension. I see.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So we are here with acting mayor.
Yes, indeed. So I would like to start by saying, on the 25th of May, the Los Santos Police Department partook in actions that I would amount to nothing more than ambushing and arresting the mayor of Los Santos, C.C. Rockford. A call was made by a agent of the Los Santos Police Department to her business, Dynasty 8, despite her being in hiding due to terrorist threats, luring her down to a location under the guise of doing something for her business, where once she was there and identified properly, the officers set upon her and actually arrested her. Despite this being that in the days previous, and any opportunity possible when they needed, she was more than helpful and fully cooperative with their investigative processes into this alleged corruption and terrorism that has been going on in the city of Los Santos. While at MRPD on the 25th of May, after a substantial amount of time being held and interrogated by officers, she was officially charged by them with government corruption and criminal sale of a weapon class 1x5. This, I would like to note, this criminal sale that allegedly occurred is after after officers said that they wanted to press weapons trafficking and realized how much of a ridiculous notion it was. To why the LSPD doesn't wish to have transparency with the people in a time like this, honestly confounds and confuses me. But in this time, I am more than happy to inform the people of what is actually going on in the state.
So the formal charges are, or at least what she was arrested under, has to do with weapons trafficking and government corruption. Is that correct?
They amended her weapons trafficking with criminal sale of firearm ×5.
I see. And can you give us any background on what might have prompted this search?
So yes, this all began with the arrest of a Bjorn Riverside, actually, the mayor's significant other. Mr. Riverside had an incident at Pillbox where he utilized a firearm against a vehicle, an ambulance that held the Assistant Chief of Police, Amelia Stroley, and the mayor herself in the vehicle. His motives were obviously not meant for any harm to the persons involved, and he, as such, said this with the officers and pled guilty to those charges. In a follow-up, however, Mr. Riverside ended up in a little bit more trouble, after which he was arrested in connection to the terrorist threat that occurred against the inauguration of the mayor.
What sort of trouble?
Mr. Riverside, Mr. Riverside was allegedly accused by the LSPD of selling the weapon to the individual, or one of the individuals who was making threats against CC Rockwood on that day.
Now, isn't Mr. Riverside also a member of the council?
Mr. Riverside was a member of the city council. However, after the incident at Pillbox with Amelia and CC, our mayor made the decision to remove him from the city council. She contacted Henry Dresden that very night, asking to schedule an actual interview so she could announce this and the resignation of Scarlett Rose from the city council. However, Mr. Dresden, being a very busy man, did not get back in touch with her.
Are there any other members of the council who are currently being reviewed with these corruption charges?
No. The only member of the councils actually there are no members of the city council being reviewed for corruption. Mr. Riverside was removed before any of his follow-up charges came along in regards to his supposed links to terrorism, and Cecilia Rockford, as the mayor, does not sit on the city council. She oversees it.
Okay, and you also mentioned a Scarlett Rose. Does she have any connection to these weapons trafficking charges?
No, Scarlett Rose's stepping down from the city council was completely uninvolved with any kind of charges, anything like that. She stepped down purely because she has other business interests that she wishes to pursue at this time.
All right, so then can you confirm that at this point it is CC Rockwood and Riverside who are the only two members of government who are being investigated?
Well, to clarify again, Mr. Riverside is no longer a member of this government. He is a civilian. And as far as Ms. Rockford being investigated, I actually have a signed motion to dismiss all charges by the judge that was signed this morning, as the LSPD, for some reason, failed to do their due diligence and actually submit a pre-filing of those charges to the district attorney's office. I have also been informed that they are wishing to violate Ms. Rockford's Fifth Amendment rights against double jeopardy and have this motion to dismiss removed or reversed. However, it seems what the LSPD does not actually know is that it requires a completely new judge and a higher jurisdiction to actually recharge on double jeopardy. A person cannot be charged for the same charges in the same jurisdiction twice.
I see. And if these charges do wind up going to trial, do you have any idea who might be representing Ms. Rockwood in that?
Well, I can certify that these charges will not be going to trial unless, for some reason, that there is some entity within the state of San Andreas that wishes to violate her constitutional amendment her constitutional right against double jeopardy, which surely no member of the government thinks that they're more powerful than the United States Constitution.
I see. Is there any other comments that the mayor's office would like to make at this time?
At this time, I would like to say that as far as this is concerned, this matter has been nothing but a travesty of law and a real circus of justice being paraded around the Los Santos Police Department and Mission Row. I'm very baffled why Miss Rockford, who's been nothing but cooperative, had to be ambushed in the course of her trying to do her business. I'm also very confused why they've been treating her with such prejudice in this in this prosecution. I also am a little bit confused by why, if they seem so intent upon levying such charges against the mayor, why they would actually go so far as to just not follow up the rest of the job and actually make sure those charges could be pressed in court, unless this was some kind of hatchet job against the mayor that the Los Santos Police Department has some kind of grievance with.
I see. All right, Los Santos, you've heard it here from Weasel News First. Mayor's office, little bit more than discontent with this current job that the PD is doing, and plenty to say in response to what we just learned at the press conference. Weasel will continue to cover the story as it develops further.